Security pulled him out. This is ABC News.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
You're listening to Civic Media News. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Today is a day of awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women. The Great Lakes Intertribal Council even expands that definition to include any Indigenous relative who's missing or has been murdered. 4 in 5 people of Indigenous heritage are victimized at some point in their lives. That's according to a report from Congress. Desiree Toti works at the Center Against Sexual and Domestic Abuse. She's a member of the Red Cliff Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa.
And there's jurisdictional issues that come into play as to how things are investigated, how things are tried, and there's always racism. There's less attention paid to the individuals that some of these things happen to.
According to data from the U.S. Department of Justice, Native American women and girls are murdered at a rate 10 times higher than the national average. They only make up 1% of the population. You may see people wearing red today to commemorate those lost and raise awareness. And a wild story decades in the making. Authorities say they've found a Wisconsin woman who went missing more than 60 years ago. Audrey Backerberg left her home in Reedsburg in July 1962. She was 20 at the time and had 2 kids. A friend said they hitchhiked to Madison, and from there they took a bus to Indianapolis. That's where the two parted ways, and Backerberg was never heard from by anybody here in Wisconsin again. The Sauk County Sheriff's Office decided to do a full review of the case, and they teamed up with Backerberg's sister, who had an account on Ancestry.com. Investigators ended up finding an address outside of Wisconsin connected to Backerberg. They had police go to that address, and they found her. Backerberg called the investigators here in Wisconsin. They stayed on the phone for 45 minutes. They determined she left of her own free will, maybe because of domestic abuse from her husband. They're not revealing where Backerberg is now, but they say she's safe, alive, and doing well. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to Civic Media News.
The Crew beat the Cubs. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Brewers with a 4-0 shutout win over the Chicago Cubs in front of over 37,000 fans in Milwaukee. It snapped a 3-game losing streak. Manager Pat Murphy.
We had a lot of great performances today, but, we shut out one of the best offensive teams in baseball, if not the best. They're solid through and through, and they're a great club. They're just old enough and just experienced enough, and their young guys are at the peak of their game.
The Brewers broke out with a 4-run rally in the 6th after Cubs starter Shota Imanaga had to leave with a left hamstring injury. Cubs manager Craig Counsell.
Did it kind of on the running over to first base. We'll probably do some imaging to see what's going on. He's never had any lower body, muscle strains, so he's a little unsure of what the feeling means.
The Brewers open a 3-game home series tonight against the Houston Astros. NFL, Packers wrapping up their rookie minicamp over the weekend. They'll return on Sunday to begin the next phase of the team's offseason program. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Mostly clear tonight, low in the mid-40s, and mostly sunny for tomorrow, high in the low 70s. It'll back down to the low 60s with sunshine for Wednesday. And the dry and warm weather will stick around right through the rest of the work week into the weekend. Currently at 62 degrees.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
How has the first 100 days of Donald Trump affected you personally? I'm so glad for these calls and texts because this is what matters. We can listen to national news, read national news, but it's what we here in Wisconsin are experiencing in our real lives that mattered to me the most, and I think is the best indication of where our state is at.
Catch the Todd Albaugh Show at its new time, weekdays 2 to 4 on Civic Media and the Civic Media app. Todd Albaugh.
Hey everybody, join us next time. We'll be talking cider, but more importantly, childcare in Southwest Wisconsin. Remember, it's the main
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Nite with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy who loves the sin but hates the sinner, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome to Nite, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Monday, everybody. It's finally here. The work week. And for those of us who love our work, I say rejoice. Great to have you with me on this Monday night as we broadcast from beautiful downtown Green Bay on a, Conrad, say it with me, beautiful, gorgeous, sunny, warm night.
I didn't say it with you.
That's all right. You probably didn't know what I was going to say. But you could suspect, because both of us, somehow you're a warm weather guy, but very committed to Northeast Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And you've lived in Wisconsin your whole life, and you still complain about cold weather.
Yeah. You know, it's my own fault.
Well, mine too. I moved back. I had like almost 15 years of warm weather and no winter, and I did not mind it. I loved it. But love trumps all, right?
Yes, it does.
Were you ever tempted to move down to
when my
West?
when my parents were down there, and after college I was like, well, it wouldn't hurt for a couple of years to go down there, but it's didn't want to leave all my friends,
but here you are.
But here I am back.
That's
still
right.
In Green Bay.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You could do a lot worse. It's beautiful here in downtown Green Bay tonight. I hope it is wherever you are in the gorgeous state of Wisconsin. As it appears, the summer box office season is here, and summer weather seems to be right around the corner. Should be a good week, but great to have you. Lots to talk about tonight. We're going to do a deep dive into the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High with my pal Mike Siegel, who sent me a picture of Damone from Fast Times at Ridgemont High about 2 weeks ago. And Mike is kind of a world traveler. He hosts a podcast, Mike Siegel does, on traveling. It's called the Travel Tales podcast. And I was waiting for him to kind of be available so we could discuss this great movie, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, one of the great comedies of the last 40 years or so. And we'll do that. And then we'll talk tonight at 7:20. Filmmaker Kelly Peterson will be here in the studio. She's driving up from, well, you don't need to know where she lives. She's coming up from somewhere else in Northeast Wisconsin. So Kelly will be here in studio talking about her new film she's working on. And she is an award-winning filmmaker. And she's also got a pretty famous grandpa who played a part in some big TV shows in the 1960s. So we'll have a nice chat in studio with Kelly. Some teen movie talk and Fast Times at Ridgemont High talk with podcast host, TV host, and comedian Mike Siegel. And that's your show, folks. There's your guests. But we have a lot to get to before that. Let's do this. Let's get the question out there, Conrad, so that we can let people start texting in if they so choose. And we'll talk about a couple things that are certainly on my mind here tonight as we kick off the show. Here is the question of the night.
Let's talk about the question.
Okay, question.
Question.
Pregunta.
Question.
Question.
Hey, I have a question. Questions? This question.
Domanda.
Question. Questions.
What is your favorite teen movie? Keeping with the theme of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, what is your favorite teen movie? There's a ton of them. And I know your first instinct, folks, is probably to go John Hughes films. And you can certainly do that. But we've talked quite a bit about John Hughes, probably about a month ago. But absolutely, if it's a John Hughes film, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller, fire away. Mine is probably Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I also like Dazed and Confused a lot, the Richard Linklater film. But there's tons to choose from. You got Varsity Blues, Rushmore, Say Anything. The Lost Boys was on a list. Heathers was on my list. I haven't seen Heathers in ages, but loved it. The Princess Diaries, Footloose, Friday Night Lights. Pardon me. One guy said Hoosiers is a teen film, and I guess it is, or The Karate Kid, Vision Quest. There's all kinds of great teen movies from over the years. Another one of my favorites is Dead Poets Society. Love that film. American Pie. If you like the more risque things, like you could argue that Fast Times at Ridgemont High is. But a lot of great teen films. Let us know what your favorite is at 855-752-4842.
855 Civic. It would be great to hear from you, and I will read your texts on the radio. Con, what do you say to that? What's your favorite?
I would say Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's a good one. That's on this list too. Yeah, it's just I just Googled, and it's great because all these movies come up you kind of forgot about. But Spider-Man, is it 2002? 2003?
Yeah, Tobey Maguire one.
Yeah. She's All That, The Girl Next Door, Can't Buy Me Love. So many great teen movies. Risky Business, another great one, a classic. But you know what is not one of my favorite teen movies?
What's that?
Not Another Teen Movie.
That's a great movie. that
It's a fine movie. It's not on my list of best, but it's good. Yeah.
I would say a fine, terrible movie.
It's a fine watch. Grease is another one of my favorites. Great classic. Fame, Almost Famous, you could argue, is a teen movie. Cameron Crowe also made that film, as well as Fast Times at Ridgemont High. But let us know what you think, folks. And if you're watching on Facebook or on the stream, pardon me, which you can watch the broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, X. Give us a like or a follow if you don't mind. We always like to get likes and follows here at Nightlight. Kind of helps us feel good about ourselves. It gives us self-confidence. So any likes or follows are much appreciated on any of the platforms. So this was big news today. A lot of things. I woke up to a message from Chris Casper, who shared an article regarding Trump's tariffs on movie making and Hollywood. He's going to put 100% tariffs on any film shot outside the U.S. So, I mean, this tariff journey has been interesting on many levels with other products and other, I know he's tried to play hardball, and I've read stuff like where the Chinese haven't blinked, so he retracted the tariffs now. But, whether or not this happens, it could be devastating for the industry, but maybe not. I mean, if they actually are enacted, that's one thing. But there was a producer, I read this article on Variety today, and it said a French producer said technically films are services on which you can't impose tariffs. So this could end up in court and take a long time, if it even picks up steam. I mean, who knows? Things can change very quickly with President Trump, as we know. But both sides will be hurt. It makes no sense either. I don't know why this would be a thing. The global film community has worked quite well together for the most part. There are film festivals all over the world. I don't understand. Unless you are actively trying to hurt an industry, this makes absolutely no sense. And one producer in the Variety article said, rather than have tariffs or go this route where people are punished, how about having a national film incentive? Like we have, film incentives in different states. We'll talk a little bit about this tomorrow night on the show because there's a bill in Wisconsin here that's going to get looked at this week. But we don't really have them. We don't have them in Wisconsin right now. Minnesota has them, Georgia, Illinois, New York. There's a lot of states that have them. Why not make a national film incentive to keep business here? Nothing wrong with that. But I hope we don't get punished either for wanting to see foreign films. We'll have to wait and see what the fine print says, if and when it will go into effect. But there's a lot to be determined here. But the showbiz community is up in arms about this. Trump has never seemed that crazy, or at least he badmouths Hollywood a lot, even though it's put a lot of money in his pocket. So we'll see what happens. But I'm sure you can certainly contact your congresspeople. I think it's a silly idea, but I think it's also a long way from having any validity to it, because as we know, a lot can change, and sometimes they're just big words. So we'll see what happens. But the Hollywood box office, the summer block office is in effect. This past weekend is considered the first summer blockbuster weekend. And I saw Sinners. Con, you saw Thunderbolts.
Yes, I did.
You liked it.
I loved it.
Okay. Do you think people who aren't necessarily Marvel fans will like it? Like, is it just a good movie?
I think yes, I do think that people will still like this. I think it's a great, kind of like they were once villains or just lost causes turned into
Adversaries.
something good.
Yeah. That's what I read about it.
And one character in particular you're gonna love no matter who you are. And his name's Bob. Bob's
I
awesome.
was hoping you would say Florence Pugh because I absolutely love her.
Well, she was great.
I heard she was fantastic in this.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
And she was, I mean, there were so many, good characters in it, but like it felt like she was the main one.
Yeah. That's exciting. I think before we move on, or before I talk about Sinners, I want to congratulate all the winners here at Civic Media. Do we have a list? We need to, talk about these people. I think I sent you a list earlier. Or did you print one up? We got to recognize people. Brittany Merlot, a 3-time winner. Mino and the Mayor, second place. Congratulations to Mino and the Mayor, and to Todd and Amanda and Conrad, who also works on that show. Pretty amazing stuff. But we'll list all those winners tonight. Civic Media was well represented at the WBAs over the weekend. Quite the festivities, too. I saw a lot of pictures from this broadcast or from this event, and it was just fantastic. So we'll read off those names shortly. Quite a few winners here from Civic Media, making everybody proud. Great to have you with me. I saw the film Sinners this weekend, and it's taken me a couple weeks to get to it. But the film has reviewed incredibly well, and 98% on Rotten Tomatoes for a horror film about vampires. Starring Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler is the director, and I just cannot. It was just a spectacle. Every aspect of the film was great. The acting was really good. The direction was excellent. The set design, the aesthetics of it. It's set in the South, earlier last century, like in the 30s. And Michael B. Jordan plays twin brothers Smoke and Stack. And they set up a juke joint in the country. That's their goal. They went up to Chicago, worked for the mob, and then came back home and stole from the Italians and the Irish, as the story goes. They had all this great Irish beer, Italian wine, and they set up a juke joint. And it is descended upon by vampires. Really good movie. Not overly gory either. There is some gore. But the actual gore parts, a lot of the movie is leading up to this fun night and the music is so great. Buddy Guy has a cameo, plays one of the characters as an older man at the end of the movie. I will say this, if you see Sinners, and I highly recommend it, stay through the credits, because when I went to see the film in Marinette this past weekend, it was my wife and me and another couple sitting a few feet away. The couple left during the credits. After the credits, and they did tease through the credits a few other short scenes. They flash forward into the 90s. But the end of the movie actually happens at the end of the credit roll. And it made it, for me, it made it a good movie, a great movie. So I cannot recommend Sinners enough. But I'm not a vampire guy. I'm not a horror guy. It's just a great movie. Ryan Coogler is a fantastic filmmaker. All right, we're coming right back. We're going to read your text. Our question of the night: what's your favorite teen movie? I say Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Dazed and Confused. Conrad says, what did you say?
I said Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. So share with us your favorite teen movie, and I'll read it on the radio. We are coming right back. This is Pete Schwaba and Night Light on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Right back to where it should have been.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for Matinee on Air.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-375-8936. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-375-8936. 800-375-8936. 800-375-8936.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect.
800-217-9129. 800-217-9129. 800-217-9129.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Wisconsin Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
Bring these people back. We got 125 school buildings that need lead abatement. We have 2,500 cases of lead poisoning in our community every year. It's very serious. This would hardly be regarded as waste, fraud, and abuse since kids cannot go to school in these buildings that are not remediated.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekday afternoons 4 until 6 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I get so lost sometimes.
Welcome back. Great to have you with me on this Monday night in the beautiful and warm, finally, and sunny state of Wisconsin. We are, Mike Siegel is here tonight at 6:35. We're going to talk about Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I'm going to ask Mike 5 questions about the film. He's going to ask me 5 questions about the film. We'll do a deep dive into some of the characters and some of the great scenes. And we'll touch on on teen movies as well. Mike is the host of the Travel Tales podcast, which is a very informative, very entertaining listen if you're so inclined. He is a TV host who has hosted such shows as If Walls Could Talk, What You Get for the Money, TBS Movie Break. He's been all over the TV, and he's a very funny comedian. And then at 7:20, Kelly Peterson, a independent film producer and documentary producer, is here in the studio with me. Kelly is working on a documentary about the Ukraine, which should be very interesting. We'll talk to her about that at 7:20. That is a Kristen Lyerly referral, Conrad. I don't know if you remember that. So excited to meet Kelly. Yeah. Our question of the night is, what is your favorite teen movie? Let us know what you're thinking. Matt Harper checked in on the social media post, and he says Varsity Blues. I think that's a popular one. I think we'll get some votes for that. I've seen that, but it's been so long, and I liked it, but I don't remember much about it. It's one of those films that just didn't stick with me, but I did like it. If that makes sense. So we'll go to the stream here. Dave says One Crazy Summer. Was that the Paul Rudd film?
It sounds familiar.
Look that up. Yeah, I'm gonna look that up. One Crazy Summer. I think that was the no, that wasn't. That was pre-Paul Rudd. This is going back to the 80s. John Cusack, yes, of course. Joel Murray, our pal, who's been on the show. Bobcat Goldthwait. Great cast. Very nice. Nicely done, Dave. Joseph Wolf checks in on the stream and says favorite TV movies. Dating myself a bit, but he says American Graffiti, Dazed and Confused, Fast Times, Risky Business. So many good ones. Joseph, I am totally with you. And I liked American Graffiti, but those other 3 you listed are 3 of my all-time favorites as well. And they're all from the 80s. The 80s was kind of a great era for teen. Not that that's when the teen movies started, but there were so many great teen movies. And you just listed 3 that have nothing to do with John Hughes. John Hughes has like his own library of teen movies, but those are excellent. So that's our question for the night. Check in, stream us, text us, and we will read it on the radio. Going out to, where are we here? Tyler from Wisconsin Rapids says, what do you think about The Goonies or Stand By Me or Lord of the Flies? I think those are totally teen movies, Tyler. Because The Goonies, well, they're like probably middle school, 12, 13, 14. I count that.
But there is...
Not The Goonies. I'm sorry. Stand By Me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Goonies has some teens in it.
Right. Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
And not Leah Thompson. I can't think. Martha Plimpton, maybe? Yeah, they're teens. Absolutely. Bonnie D checking in from the 262. Risky Business. Double exclamation point. Could not agree more, Bonnie. I am so due for a rewatch on Risky Business, too. That's a fantastic one. Ronnie from Horicon. That's in the Horicon. That's not the 920, actually. But Ronnie's area code is 920. Ronnie says, I loved The Breakfast Club. Another classic. Thank you, Ronnie. And there's one I didn't mention earlier. I would put Napoleon Dynamite in that category.
Definitely.
One of my all-time faves. And definitely a teen movie. I think Napoleon and Kip are both teens of various age degrees. Barb from Waukesha, she's in the 262. She says, Super Bad. Yes. Is so much fun to watch. Could not agree more, Barb. That's a great one. Great film. Annie from Watertown, she's her area code anyway is the 920. She says, OMG. Can you imagine that orange guy watching a movie with subtitles? I don't care how he watches his movies, Annie. I have issues with the PBS stuff he's talking about with my wife as a public school teacher. And yes, now Hollywood. So he's not certainly doing himself any favors with me personally. And it sounds like with you either. Anna from Madison says, hi, Pete and Conrad. My favorite teen movie is Lady Bird. And wow, Lady Bird is okay. I did not think that. See, I go right for the comedies. But there are plenty of teen movies. I mean, Dead Poet Society was not a comedy. Great teen movie, though. Anna's in the 608. Thank you, Anna. Monica from Mount Horeb says, hard to choose just one, but the first one that came to mind was Little Darlings with Christy McNichol and Matt Damon. Great choice, Monica. Forgot about that one. Not Matt Damon, Matt Dillon. Little Darling. I don't even know if Matt Damon was born yet, but I think you meant Matt Dillon. Brian from Milwaukee says, along with Teen Wolf, with Michael J. Fox, Napoleon Dynamite. Great choices, Brian. Awesome as always. Thank you, sir. Carrie from Tosa, she's in the 414. She says, better off dead. I want my $2. Great choice, Carrie. I actually tried to watch Say Anything recently, and I was unable to. I watched it, but it seemed dated. And it's still a great movie. But I just couldn't get through it. We got some more text here. Annie from Watertown, Dazed and Confused. So lived it. Annie lived the story of Dazed and Confused. She went to a high school with Matthew McConaughey playing Wooderson. Great character. Thank you, Annie, again. Brian from Milwaukee also says, Little Miss Sunshine. Yeah, wow. I've forgotten so many about these. Ronnie from Horicon also says, The Outsiders was a favorite. Don't know if you mentioned it. I have not yet, Ronnie. Thank you. Then an anonymous texter from the 920 says, favorites are Weird Science, Real Genius, or Pretty in Pink. We've talked a lot about Real Genius lately because of Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
But that's a great one, too. All good. Brian from Milwaukee also says Clue. Cody from the 608 says Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Tom from New Berlin, The Sandlot. Outstanding choices, all. Keep them coming, folks. Keep those texts coming. We'll read them. Mike Siegel is coming up after the news. And we're going to do a deep dive into one of my favorite teen movies, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That's coming up next. Stick around, folks. It's Pete Schwaba and Night Light on the Civic Media Radio Network.
I'm waiting for that final moment. You say the words that I can't say. I feel fine.
The talk of Green Bay, WGBW. This is your local civic media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
You're listening to Civic Media News. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Today is a day of awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women. The Great Lakes Intertribal Council even expands that definition to include any Indigenous relative who's missing or has been murdered. 4 in 5 people of Indigenous heritage are victimized at some point in their lives. That's according to a report from Congress. Desiree Tody works at the Center Against Sexual and Domestic Abuse. She's a member of the Red Cliff Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa.
And there's jurisdictional issues that come into play as to how things are investigated, how things are tried. And there's always racism. There's less attention paid to the individuals that some of these things happen to.
According to data from the U.S. Department of Justice, Native American women and girls are murdered at a rate 10 times higher than the national average. They only make up 1% of the population. You may see people wearing red today to commemorate those lost and raise awareness. And a wild story decades in the making. Authorities say they've found a Wisconsin woman who went missing more than 60 years ago. Audrey Backeberg left her home in Reedsburg in July 1962. She was 20 at the time and had 2 kids. A friend said they hitchhiked to Madison, and from there they took a bus to Indianapolis. That's where the two parted ways, and Backeberg was never heard from by anybody here in Wisconsin again. The Sauk County Sheriff's Office decided to do a full review of the case, and they teamed up with Backeberg's sister, who had an account on Ancestry.com. Investigators ended up finding an address outside of Wisconsin connected to Backeberg. They had police go to that address, and they found her. Backeberg called the investigators here in Wisconsin. They stayed on the phone for 45 minutes. They determined she left of her own free will, maybe because of domestic abuse from her husband. They're not revealing where Backeberg is now, but they say she's safe, alive, and doing well. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to Civic Media News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Is there anything Gwyneth Paltrow thinks she can't do? Probably not. She desperately wants to help you find the right Mother's Day gift for your wife or mother. Variety reports that her company Goop says they offer thoughtful gifts at healthy prices. They're not kidding. Whether you're looking for a $600 flower bouquet, a sleep headband for 350 smackers, or a $4,000 blanket, she's got it all. Sure, it's a lot of money, but don't worry, all the proceeds go right to Gwynny's ego. A recent study shows that rats can distinguish between 2 different kinds of wine. The study, done by animal cognition scientists, say rats can distinguish between Sauvignon Blanc and Riesling. A couple things. This is finally the news we've been waiting for as a society. And 2, this might sound impressive, but what scientists failed to share was that one of the rats was so stupid he ordered red wine with fish. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Night Lite with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Mostly clear tonight, low in the mid-40s, and mostly sunny for tomorrow, high in the low 70s. It'll back down to the low 60s with sunshine for Wednesday. And the dry and warm weather will stick around right through the rest of the work week into the weekend. Currently at 62 degrees.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
How has the first 100 days of Donald Trump affected you personally? I'm so glad for these calls and texts because this is what matters. We can listen to national news, read national news, but it's what we here in Wisconsin are experiencing in our real lives that mattered to me the most, and I think is the best indication of where our state is at.
Catch the Todd Albaugh Show at its new time, weekdays 2 to 4 on Civic Media and the Civic Media app. Maggie Dawn.
At 5:30, I'll be joined by political editor
Great to have you with me tonight, folks, on this Monday night. Finally, a warm and sunny night here in the state of Wisconsin. This is Night Light. I am Pete Schwaba, and I just wanted to shout out some good words to some of my colleagues here at Civic Media. The Wisconsin Broadcast Association Awards were this past weekend. Congrats to Brittany Merlot, the Snow Queen. bringing home 3 awards. That's incredible. Maggie Dawn won Best Radio Show. Todd Alba, Best Feature, I think, or Best Special. Mino and the Mayor, they were like, what, second or third radio show? And
Second, yeah.
that's really cool here in Northeast Wisconsin. Jane and Greg won a Best Feature Award. Amanda Nimmer, Best Social Media, right here at WGBW, WISS, part of the team. And Todd Alba and yourself for producing. You've been involved with Mino and the Mayor.
Yeah.
Not in a weird way. I mean, producing your show.
Yeah.
And they owe you a debt of gratitude.
Yes.
So congratulations to all the awards taken home by Civic Media the other day. Very cool stuff. All right. So keep those texts coming, folks. The question of the night is, what is your favorite teen movie? This was inspired by my friend Mike Siegel, who is about to join us. He sent me a picture of Damone a couple weeks ago, and all I have to do is look at that guy, and I hear his voice, and I hear his lines from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and I think about him selling concert tickets on the down low, and I thought we need to talk about teen movies. So it is my pleasure to welcome now to Nightlight, a guy who's no stranger to our airwaves. He is the host of the Tales podcast, a very funny comedian and TV host as well, my pal Mike Siegel. Hey, Mike.
Hi, Pete. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I was fascinated by that story of the mice drinking the wine. That's good stuff there, buddy.
That's money well spent. We needed to know that, Mike. We needed to know that. Those are fun to write. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm in town for a little while, so that's kind of nice. So I'm usually, flying this way or that way, or performing on a cruise ship or doing something.
Yeah.
So it's nice to kind of like chill for a little bit. Although it's kind of, I don't know if you remember from your days in LA, this is the May gray time of year.
Yeah.
When it's, kind of, it's cloudy. It doesn't rain, but it's just gray and cool.
Well, your gray period is a lot shorter there than here, so I don't really no sympathy for you, Mike. Where were you? Were you on a cruise or just traveling and enlightening yourself as you often do?
Well, a little bit of both. I combined one. I did a ship in February, and it dropped me off in Rio de Janeiro, and I looked on the I looked at the dates, and it was the first week of March actually, and I went, wait a minute, I know that's really close to Mardi Gras time, and it was like 2 days before Fat Tuesday.
Wow.
So it's like, wait a minute, I'm just gonna stay here for a few days and see this, and that was pretty amazing. I had been to Rio before, but never during Carnival, and it was crazy. It was pretty nuts.
It just seems like an absolute spectacle, but like something you'd want to be alone at. You don't want to take your family, the wife and kids, or even the girlfriend. It seems like you just want to walk around yourself and absorb everything.
I did do that, but on the other side, it would have been a lot more fun in my 20s. I have a feeling.
Oh yeah, right.
It's one of those things where I was an observer, and I think back then I would have been more of a participant.
Yeah,
but, I was pretty good to stand back and watch the spectacle rather than be the spectacle these days.
Rather than be the guy running around in a jockstrap and clogs, and
Exactly.
just waving your arms around because you're so happy it's Fat Tuesday.
Well, I talk about it, and every time I go to a town, especially a city where it can be kind of rough, I never want to stand out as a tourist, so I always try to try to fit in. And I knew like 2 minutes into like walking on the street in Rio that I was not going to fit in, mostly because the way I was dressed, because I was wearing clothes, and they're not that big into that.
You have the khakis on and the cardigan. Hey, who's the stiff?
I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. They asked me if I was going to a wedding.
That is fantastic. What do you ever get sound bites when you're at these places, Mike, for your podcast, or do you play stuff, or do you interview people where you are as opposed to just people who can talk about travel?
I do sometimes, especially on the ships. I've interviewed a bunch of my fellow performers or some of the cruise directors and things like that. But
yeah,
something on the street like that is just so insane, and the audio is terrible. And some of these places you don't want to be walking around with anything expensive looking sound equipment or good microphone or something. Well, I mean, pickpockets and street crime, and that can be.
It's that bad, huh?
It depends on where you are, of course. I mean, I took the train there and the metro in Rio, and it was fine. But then again, during Carnival, there was a heavy police presence, and so many tourists that they're on the lookout for stuff like that. But I did ask one of these guides of where I was going to the Samba parade. I was going to take the train in the middle of the night, and he's like, "Ugh, the stop you got to get off of there, we wouldn't recommend it."
Oh,
and I was
really?
like, okay. So
wow,
I erred on the side of caution. I probably would have been fine, but hey, I'll spend the extra dough there.
Yeah. Have you ever been pickpocketed either when traveling somewhere or even like in Chicago or LA, or you ever been pickpocketed?
Knock on wood, I'm uber careful now, but I have, I've been in some places where, certain cities, I've known so many people and interviewed so many people that have gotten, stuff stolen. Like in Barcelona, it's very common. Usually on mass transit, you got to really be careful. And the beaches too. Like people lying out on the beach and they go into the water and there's somebody, or even like lying in the sun with their eyes closed. Somebody just walked by, snatched something.
The wallet and the shoe. They'll never figure that out.
But whereas opposed to, America, they're afraid of coming here because the crime is less street crime, but more violent crime.
Right.
So, guns and things. That's what everyone in the world is scared of. That's what I'm scared of here.
Sure. I've never been pickpocketed. Sometimes though, I think if I were to be pickpocketed, I'd hope they'd be bad at it and just keep their hand in my pocket.
Oh, he's wearing boxing gloves. It's like, sir, that's
yeah, boxing gloves.
You're doing this all wrong, sir. You gotta take off the gloves.
My guest is Mike Siegel. He's the host of the Travel Tales podcast and a TV personality and a very funny stand-up comedian. Mike, let's talk about, like I mentioned when I brought you on the show, this whole subject talk tonight was inspired by the picture you sent me of Damone.
Right.
It's one of the greatest, not even a lead character, like a secondary character, but made such an impression in that movie and was great.
And it was one of those things where it's like that came out. I think I was a freshman between my freshman and sophomore year in high school. So it was like hit me right in the wheelhouse. You know what I mean? It was
right.
Like I was like, is this what high school's going to be?
Yeah.
I just thought it was.
I think too, like what's so funny is like I never used drugs, but I always laugh the hardest at the drug kids. Like,
Spicoli, yeah.
Yeah, those kind. Like I remember a kid coming in late. We had to go to daily mass because it was a Catholic school. We'd go to daily mass, and this guy walks in. This kid, this 8th grader, walks in like 20 minutes late, and the priest looks at him and he goes, "Where were you, Dave?" And he stands there. I swear to God, he stands there for like 10 seconds. He just goes, "I was late." And I'm just like
that's perfect.
It's perfect, and it's just. It cracks me up. So there's a whole cast of those characters in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, including Spicoli is the highlight of that. But whatever happened to Damone? I know I would see him at the grocery store sometimes. I can't even think of the actor's name at the moment. I can look it up. But
Richard Romanus. He actually owned for a while in your neck of the woods over there. I think maybe it was on Cahuenga. He owned a coffee house for a little while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like in a little espresso, something like Bob's Espresso, or something like that.
Okay.
Or Robert Romanus, I think is his name.
Robert Romanus, yeah.
And he would pop up. I remember seeing him in a Sopranos episode as well.
Oh,
So every so often he'd pop up in some kind of episodic TV thing, and I was like, but he'll always be Damone. They're like, is that Damone playing a lawyer? What's he doing?
Right. He top off your coffee and try to sell you Leonard Skinner tickets or something.
Oh my God. How many people must have, oh God, he has to answer to that every day, right? Still.
Every day. And you're right. He like, the sad thing is like, if you're the Fonz or some huge role where you cashed in on and you became a very rich person, he's a minor role on this movie, and he didn't cash in on that. Like, how maybe he can go to festivals or like conventions, but he's got to make a living.
Ratner, same thing. I think he finally left acting. After Mark the Rat Ratner, he was like by the 90s, he was out of it.
I just figured he would have gone full time at the movie theater, but maybe that
you got to wear nice tux. It's all right.
He was great too in the movie, though. Like those guys, they were all fantastic. All right, so let's talk about this. So, what is your favorite scene from the movie, Mike? And I know we're going to give each other a little quiz. I do have a couple questions prepared for you that are like little mini trivia questions. But let's talk about the movie first. Like, do you have a favorite scene in the film?
Well, one of them is definitely. I mean, I don't know what I can say on the radio or not. But
use your best judgment. No, no F or S bombs, please.
Well, when Spicoli's in the he comes in late, and again, like Dave-esque, is like, I think Mr. Hand comes down on him, and tears up his thing and tells him to go down to the principal's office. I don't know. Can I say it?
I don't think we could say the D word. No, we can't. You could substitute it with the P word for that body part. I think.
But he just stared at him and just let him have it. Right in his grill, and it just
blank. Yeah.
And it was the dream of every kid in high school to be able to do that to their worst teacher.
And he didn't care. I mean, it was just like. And when he says, like, there's a full crowd scene down by the vending machines, like, that's just your world when you're that. It's like, I can't go to class. Look at this action down here.
By the way, when the guy in your class came in stoned and you said his name was Dave, I thought he was going to go into the whole Cheech and Chong bit. Dave's not here, man.
No.
Which would have been his only better answer that he gave.
Right. Yeah, I would have had some respect for him if he had done that. Do you have a favorite character from Fast Times?
I got to go with you. I got to go with Damone. Like, he steals it, man. He really does. Sean Penn, of course, but Damone really.
Yeah, Sean Penn's kind of like, you just accept he's the best character.
Yeah.
But separate of that, and I love Judge Reinhold in it, but I would probably have to say Damone too, just because of he makes the most of his on-camera time, and he's so great. But I would have to say Spicoli. I would still, like, as great as of an actor as Sean Penn is, that's one of his best. He's phenomenal.
Right? He hasn't topped it. Oscar or no Oscar, he still hasn't topped it.
Exactly. Although I did like him. I loved Sean Penn in Bad Boys. Did you ever see that movie?
Yes. He's great in everything.
Awesome.
Great in everything.
Yeah.
But no Ratner career for him.
Yeah, no, he ran, but that's a role you would think it would be hard to overcome too. Spicoli is very iconic, and like, he didn't even like think twice. He was already in all these other movies and At Close Range and Bad Boys and all these. So that's pretty impressive. That
he had been on Broadway. It was either before that. I don't know if you saw the Val Kilmer documentary, but he was on.
Oh, great documentary!
Did a play with Val Kilmer and I think Kevin Bacon and on Broadway. So I mean, he'd been around. He was established as an actor, and he made it clear, he wanted to do dramas after that, and he didn't want to be paid.
Right.
In that,
great stuff. All right, we will we'll dig a little deeper into Fast Times when we come back. I'm going to give Mike a quick trivia quiz on the film, and he can certainly do that to me if you have something prepared, Mike. Otherwise, no worries.
I do.
And,
I don't know if I'll stump you, Pete, but I'm going to try.
Challenge accepted. All right, we're coming right back. It's Night Light with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
When did I fall? I wanna cry, cry, cry alone. When you feeling blue, I'm waiting just for you. Someone's living for
Reach, engage, grow with Civic Media. Log on civicmedia.us/advertise.
Hey, it's John Mino and Jim Schmidt from Mino and the Mayor. Want to stay in the loop with all things Northeast Wisconsin? Sign up for the WGBW weekly newsletter.
Get the latest local stories, updates on the weather, and a special feature from our Mino and the Mayor podcast.
It's your one-stop shop for real news and great conversation in Northeast Wisconsin.
Log on to WGBW.FM today and get signed up.
Real news, great conversation. Sign up today at WGBW.FM/newsletter.
An unsuspecting driver at a Milwaukee barbershop.
I got an apprentice here shadowing me. I'm gonna put this hot towel on, man. About a good 3 minutes, all right?
The apprentice is Donald Driver.
So when you come here, you drive?
Yes.
Your car got seatbelts?
Yeah.
You wear them?
No.
Okay, but why not?
I don't want to.
But do you know you can get a ticket for that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you a ticket. Bet you wish you buckle up now.
Oh my God. Donald Driver can't always be there to remind you.
Take it, click it. There we go. Click it or ticket.
And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Sponsored by Wisconsin DOT.
Amicus, a law review with Jim Santel.
Ross calling in.
Thanks for your show. I'm just wondering if we're watching or witnessing a legal system that
where what we thought was precedent is now going to be sort of cast away.
The reality is the question that you raise about the future and what are the implications when in fact the things we understood always to be bedrocks of our community, of our nation, are no longer that.
Amicus, a law review, Saturday mornings from 9 to 11.
Farm Rescue makes sure that you aren't alone. They're there to extend the hand and to take the burden.
Even the most independent farmers need help sometimes, and asking for that help is protecting the future. Farm Rescue provides equipment and volunteers free of charge to assist in times of crisis. We're currently accepting applications for planting and haying assistance. If you or someone you know could use our help, call 701-252-2017 or visit farmrescue.org.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
How has the first 100 days of Donald Trump affected you personally? I'm so glad for these calls and texts because this is what matters. We can listen to national news, read national news, but it's what we here in Wisconsin are experiencing in our real lives that mattered to me the most, and I think is the best indication of where our state is at.
Catch the Todd Albaugh Show at its new time, weekdays 2 to 4 on Civic Media and the Civic Media app.
We are the National Park Foundation, and together with you, we're creating a future where every person, every generation gets their chance at an unforgettable moment. Learn more at nationalparks.org/foundation.
You are never far away from your favorite radio station. We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. And if you missed your favorite show or game, listen to a podcast of it anytime on the app or our website, civicmedia.us.
Hey, this is John Legend, and you're listening to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Gonna be some sweet sounds coming down the night shift.
Welcome back to Nightlight. I am your loyal host, Pete Schwaba. Conrad is riding shotgun, and there's a great text we got. The question of the night is, what is your favorite teen movie? From the 920, Rain says 3 O'Clock High was fun. I forgot about that movie, but that was a great movie.
That one was pretty good. Yeah. I mean, that one didn't get a lot of publicity though. Though we were like, so you and I are around the same age. So we all got like the same, we were in the John Hughes land, you know, so he kind of dominated that whole scene, but there was a lot of product there. But it's always interesting to see how each generation has their own high school movie. Like People After Us, there was like Clueless, and then American Pie was like a huge one in the 90s.
Right. Superbad was another great one.
And I don't know I mean, you have kids. I don't know. Do they have one that they really?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that the truly great ones do stand the test of time. Just during the break, Conrad was saying he watched Fast Times about 4 months ago. Loved it. My son, Joe, basically the same age, loved Superbad, which came out when he was a baby, basically. But he also loves Fast Times. Like, I think a great movie is a great movie, you know, regardless of its aesthetics, I guess. But yeah, I agree with you about 3 O'Clock High. Paula, Conrad's mom, checks in and says all of the Back to the Future movies. Yeah, great films. Great films. Monica from Mount Horeb from the 608, she says one more hysterical movie that hasn't been mentioned, Good Burger. I never saw Good Burger.
Yeah, it wasn't for me.
Thompson?
Yeah, Keenan and Kel.
So
they were like, if you grew up in Nickelodeon or whatever they were on, they were big stars, big.
That one slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
Mike and I, Mike Siegel, that is the voice of Mike Siegel, the host of the Travel Tales podcast. Check out his podcast. It's fantastic. And he's also a very funny comedian and TV host as well. And we go back a long way, but we're both huge fans of the film Dazed and Confused. And Mike, I was looking at all the cameos. Like one of them is going to be a question I ask you, but even actors like this, I think it's David Chiavarelli was the teacher that pulled the heart out or whatever.
Oh, you're talking okay. You said Dazed and Confused. So that's
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Fast Times, Vincent Schiavelli.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of my questions for you.
Oh, okay.
Are we going to ask the questions? You want me to quiz you?
Let's start. But I do want to say that one of my favorite Spicoli lines is when he's getting on the bus and he knows they're going to look at cadavers. And Chiavelli says, "Are you in this class?" And he goes, "I am today." So great. Yeah, let's do our quizzes. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go. I'll ask you one. And this has relate to Vincent Schiavelli, that character actor. Always a weird looking dude, and he pops up in a million films. But
he's great.
He was a science teacher at Fast Times. Do you remember his character's name?
Oh man. No, I don't.
You can't remember.
Well,
You can't pull it.
I'm looking at it right now because I have IMDb Pro open.
Oh, okay.
So that would be cheating, but I wouldn't have guessed it.
Mr. Vargas. That's Mr. Vargas.
Yes. Damn, that's a good one. See, I wanted you to challenge me.
Before,
I wanted to
take the IMDb away. Don't look.
Okay. I'm going off. Okay.
Do you know at the end of the Oh, sorry, you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, there, I got you now. Okay. Do I know the end of is all I heard?
No. Do you know at the end during the dance who played the actress who played his wife?
Good God, you are doing a deep. No,
But there's a reason I'm asking this.
All right. Should I?
Well, it got note later on, like 20 years later, because her name was Lana Clarkson, and that was the woman who died in Phil Spector's house, who he supposedly.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah,
I never would have got that,
and I wouldn't have either until when she unfortunately was the victim of this. That they kept pulling that scene, in her basically obituary. She put because she was
horrible.
She played the hot blonde in all these B movies.
Yeah,
in the 80s, and that was like one of the bigger films she was in.
Man,
so
awful.
Yeah, a little obscure tidbit. I didn't know if you'd get that one.
I would not have. And Joseph on the stream just said, and the science teacher showed up with his supermodel wife at the dance. So,
yeah,
thinking along the same lines. All right, I'm 0 for 2. Let's just keep going with your questions. Well, maybe we'll get to mine after the news because I got to redeem myself here.
Okay. The song playing in the dugout when Jennifer Jason Leigh is with the guy
Somebody's
from
Baby,
Stereo
Jackson Brown.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
That's timely
great
because I literally just saw him play that at a festival yesterday.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny, Mike? I don't know if you remember this. We used to do comic softball in Encino for a while back in the early 2000s. And
yes, we did.
Those fields, that was those fields. I remember looking at the dugouts going, which dugout was it? Like, that's one of the fun things about living in LA. Was that the scene where Jennifer Jason Leigh lost her virginity to the Jackson Brown song,
Absolutely.
So great. All right.
So that you got that one. That's pretty good. I had a couple more.
1 for 3. Okay.
Do you remember, this is an easier one. Do you remember the name of the burger place that Judge Reinhold was fired from?
I think I have that same question for you. Yes, I do. All American Burger.
All American Burger.
Great.
Whose rules are no shirt,
no shoes, no dice. All right, I'm 2 for 4. I'm coming back. How are we doing on time, Conrad? We got about a minute. Okay.
Do I have another one? Let's see. Okay. I have one last one. Ready?
Yep, you bet.
Okay. What band does Jefferson ask Damone tickets for?
Oh.
He wants to take his little brother.
Cheap Trick.
No.
What?
Jefferson, the football player, wants these.
Oh. Jefferson Airplane?
No.
Jefferson Starship? You said Jefferson. Oh, Jefferson.
Jefferson is the football player.
I need help.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. 2 Earth, Wind, and Fire tickets for Jefferson and little brother. And he writes it down. And
those are the tickets I'd want. All right, Mike Siegel is here, folks. We're coming right back after intermission here, where Civic Media's news team will keep you informed. And I'm going to give Mike my Fast Times quiz. Chime in your favorite line, favorite scene, share it with us. Be part of the show. It's Night Light with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The champion of dance, his moves will put you in a trance, and he never leaves the disco alone.
This is 97.9 WGBW Denmark, Green Bay's real news and great conversation, a Civic Media radio station.
ABC News, I'm Stephanie Officer. The eligible cardinals have gathered in Vatican City to cloister themselves from the world and choose a new leader of the Catholic Church. ABC's James Longman.
It's the daily dance of the cardinals and the journalists. But the countdown is on. Eminence, hello. How was today's meeting? Hello, Eminence. How was today's meeting? Tomorrow, the cardinals will move into the Santa Marta residence and slowly out of the world's gaze. On Wednesday, they will take their oath of secrecy and conclave will begin.
Rite Aid has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy as it pursues selling most of its assets. Stores do remain open with full pharmacy services. The company is working to smoothly transfer prescriptions and retain employee pay and benefits. CEO Matt Schroeder says Rite Aid is in talks with several potential buyers. On its website Monday, the company listed 1,240 Rite Aid stores across the country. This is ABC News.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
You're listening to Civic Media News. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Today is a day of awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women. The Great Lakes Intertribal Council even expands that definition to include any Indigenous relative who's missing or has been murdered. 4 in 5 people of Indigenous heritage are victimized at some point in their lives. That's according to a report from Congress. Desiree Tody works at the Center Against Sexual and Domestic Abuse. She's a member of the Red Cliff Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa.
And there's jurisdictional issues that come into play as to how things are investigated, how things are tried, and there's always racism. There's less attention paid to the individuals that some of these things happen to.
According to data from the U.S. Department of Justice, Native American women and girls are murdered at a rate 10 times higher than the national average. They only make up 1% of the population. You may see people wearing red today to commemorate those lost and raise awareness. And a wild story decades in the making. Authorities say they've found a Wisconsin woman who went missing more than 60 years ago. Audrey Backerberg left her home in Reedsburg in July 1962. She was 20 at the time and had 2 kids. A friend said they hitchhiked to Madison, and from there they took a bus to Indianapolis. That's where the two parted ways, and Backerberg was never heard from by anybody here in Wisconsin again. The Sauk County Sheriff's Office decided to do a full review of the case, and they teamed up with Backerberg's sister, who had an account on Ancestry.com. Investigators ended up finding an address outside of Wisconsin connected to Backerberg. They had police go to that address, and they found her. Backerberg called the investigators here in Wisconsin. They stayed on the phone for 45 minutes. They determined she left of her own free will, maybe because of domestic abuse from her husband. They're not revealing where Backerberg is now, but they say she's safe, alive, and doing well. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to Civic Media News.
The Brewers shut down the Cubs. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Brewers with a 4-0 win over the Cubs on Sunday. The game scoreless through 6 innings. Sal Frelick had to exit the game after twisting his knee at the plate. That opened the door for outfielder Daz Cameron and a 4-run rally as his father, former Brewer Mike Cameron, watched from the stands.
And a line drive into right center, a base hit. Here comes Yelich. It's 2-0 on the first knock as a Brewer for Daz Cameron.
Jeff Levering, FanDuel, Wisconsin. After the game, manager Pat Murphy complimented the Cubs outfielders like Pete Crow Armstrong and newcomer Kyle Tucker.
Their young guys are at the peak of their game. The blue-haired kid is kind of a freak right now, the way he's playing. The new kid with the huge feet, that kid, what a hitter. You know what I mean? What a hitter. I just noticed him when he's digging in the box, and I'm like, oh, this is bad. But he's what a hitter.
That's Pat Murphy. The Crew opens a 3-game home series tonight against the Houston Astros. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Mostly clear tonight, low in the mid-40s, and mostly sunny for tomorrow, high in the low 70s. It'll back down to the low 60s with sunshine for Wednesday. And the dry and warm weather will stick around right through the rest of the work week into the weekend. Currently at 62 degrees.
John Mino and Jim Schmidt.
On Tuesday's show, we'll welcome Allie and Nicole from the Neville Public Museum. They'll promote their Hmong American Day event.
And Lauren Nisback from New Leaf Foods gives us all the details on a community orchards project. Join us.
I'm Tony Goldwyn. As an actor and a director, I attend a lot of screenings. But there's one that's different. It's important, and it could save your life. A lung cancer screening. You know, I lost my mom to lung cancer when she was just 68 years old. Screenings help diagnose lung cancer early when it's most treatable, even curable. A quick, low-dose CT scan is all it takes. Go-To for lung cancer is your go-to. Visit goto.org.
Mino and the Mayor.
I talked to my brother yesterday, the priest, and he's in Quick Trip, and this lady's there, and she goes, you know, I got up and watched the Pope's funeral this morning. Well, that's great. She goes, you know, that was on really early, and he goes, oh yeah, 3:30. She goes, they probably did that because of the draft.
Mino and the Mayor, weekday morning 6 till 9 on 97.9. Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Night Light with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy who likes to dine and dash, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome back. I was laughing so hard because last week we had a guest on the show. Do you remember this guy, Conrad? His name was Miles Kristen, and he was supposed to talk about a film festival.
Yeah.
And we booked him, but he had a conflict, and he manages a supper club, and he says, I can only stay for a minute because I'm managing a supper club. And the whole time I'm talking to him, I'm just thinking about all these people dining and dashing or helping themselves to booze while he's on with me talking about the Stoughton Film Festival. Beautiful stuff. Love the dine and dash. Welcome back to the show, folks. My name is Pete Schwaba. Mike Siegel is here as my guest. Kelly Peterson joins me here in studio at 7:20 to talk about her film, her documentary about the Ukraine and many other things. Kelly's dad was a famous, grandfather was ran a very big production company and was responsible for many sitcoms in the 1960s. So we'll do that. We'll read your text. Our question of the night is, what is your favorite teen movie? And that's what Mike and I are talking about right now. Mike Siegel is the host of the Travel Tales podcast and a very funny comedian and TV host as well. So what did I do, Mike? 2 for 4 or 3 for 5?
You were about 2 for 5, I think.
Okay. Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah.
All right. So we're talking about Fast Times at Ridgemont High, an iconic, awesome comedy, maybe the teen comedy of teen comedies. And I have some questions here for Mike. So let's get to those right now. Conrad, you got the thing ready? Our little bell and whistle, literally. Mike, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Mike Siegel, host of the Travel Tales podcast, world traveler, comedian, stumped me. I have to give it back to you. But you're a guest, so I was gonna kind of go easy on you, but I wrote a couple questions during the break that might give you pause. So we'll see.
Okay.
All right. What excuse did Spicoli give Mr. Hand as to why he was late for class?
There was a crazy line at the food machines or something, right? There was an insane line at the food machines. Or
that was like the add-on. But his first line,
just couldn't get there on time. Just couldn't make it.
I will accept that. Just couldn't make it on time.
Just couldn't make it.
So great. All right, Mike is, well, we'll say 1 for 1.
Okay.
Number 2, this is kind of a rhetorical question. Where the hell were the parents during this whole movie? Mike?
Oh, you have to ask me that again, Pete. Sorry.
Did I cut out?
Yeah, I think it's me. Sorry about that.
I said, where the hell were the parents throughout this whole movie? I don't think you see one parent all right.
You see Spicoli's little brother. That's it.
Oh, that's right. Curtis.
Yeah. Good one.
I only hear you if you knock, Curtis.
Knock. That's better. Entree.
Entree. All right. Mike is 2 for 2. Number 3, what does Judge Reinhold say when Phoebe Cates walks in on him in the bathroom? Remember, we're on the radio. You don't have to say the F-bomb part. Okay.
Okay. Doesn't anyone effing knock?
Bleeping knock anymore. Mike is 3 for 3. He's destroying this quiz.
Was that what was the second one? Did I get one?
No, where are the parents? I gave you that one. That was a
Oh,
freebie.
okay.
I appreciate your time. So
Okay.
I like to make guests look good. So
All
right. We've got 3 more here. What famous actors were played Sean Penn's fellow stoners and buddies?
Oh, that would be Eric Stoltz and Anthony Edwards.
Yes, very impressive.
Yeah.
That's a good one. See, I thought maybe Eric Stoltz always comes to mind, but I always forget about Anthony Edwards. That was very well done.
Yeah, it's confusing because he has hair. That's why he has long hair on it.
And he's not in surgery, pretend surgery. All right, number 5. What band did Spicoli hire with his reward money for saving Brooke Shields from drowning to play his birthday party?
Oh, is that in the credits?
Yes.
I think he I almost said the Stones because he said that in the dream sequence in the interview.
Oh, yeah.
But, I think it's Van Halen.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
My
They asked him
love
what's he going to do with the prize money. I'm going to go to London and jam with the Stones.
But I love when he says to the Stu, the interviewer,
Nahan,
after the surfing contest, he says, "Hey, where'd you get this jacket?" Stu just blows him off and goes, "Oh, the network gave it to me." Jeff. So great.
He was great at that. It's like, it's like, and he goes, "Oh, those guys are Fs." And it's like, and Stu just goes, "Ha ha, fantastic." All right.
All right. Number 5. What did Mark Ratner purchase just to talk to a girl? And remember, he gets teased about this by Damone.
He bought he had a crush on a girl at the photomat, so he bought like $10,000 worth of film or something crazy. No, $100 worth of film, and he didn't even have a camera.
You bought $40 worth of film, Rat. You don't even own a camera. That's correct. All right, Mike is 6 for 6. One more question here for you, Mike. What kind of car did Jefferson have that was totaled by Spicoli and Jefferson's younger brother? And bonus point if you can name the year.
It was Trans Am. I know that.
Ooh, close.
It's a Firebird. It's a Trans Am.
It's like the twin brother of
Camaro.
the Trans. Yes.
Okay, it was a Camaro.
And a bonus point if you can guess the year.
A year? I don't know. It was new. I mean, the movie came out in 82, so maybe it was in 81, 82.
Well, we'll give you that one. It was a 79 Camaro.
Okay.
That's
sweet ride, pal. Sweet ride.
So you did.
You can't fix this car, Spicoli. My old man's got an ultimate set of tools. I can fix it. I had one bonus question for you, and you'll. This is super hard. You have to, if you can remember Damone's 5-point plan of talking.
Oh man! First thing you do, wherever you are, that's the place to be.
Yeah, that's
Isn't
number
this
3.
great?
That's number 3.
Oh, that's number 3.
Yeah.
Compliment her.
Great. Isn't this great?
Isn't this great? Is it compliment her?
No.
All right, here I'll give you the ones I remember.
Okay.
Play Kashmir, Led Zeppelin.
That's your half right there.
Yeah.
Comes to making out side 1 of Led Zeppelin 4.
Side 1 of Led Zeppelin 4.
And then they cut to the scene when that's, all the Zepp heads all complain because they're playing Kashmir in the car, which is not on Led Zeppelin 4. So there you go.
All right. So it's that one. It's wherever you are, that's the place to be. Isn't this great?
2 of them.
And then something about order for her. The lady will have a Coke. I will have a Coke as well.
I had to write it down. It's a great lady will have the linguine with white clam sauce and Coke with milk. And I'll have the same.
And what's the other one?
The number 1 is the first one is never let on how much you like a girl. It's like, oh, hi, Debbie. And he's talking about the cardboard cutout of Debbie Harry there. Oh, hi, Debbie.
Right.
That's 1. And 2 is always call the shots. Kiss me. You won't regret it.
You won't regret it. Yes. Oh, I should have got that one. That one's great. Mike Siegel is here, folks. He is the host of the Travel Tales podcast and a very funny comedian and TV host and kind of does it all, Mike. You also do rewiring, don't you? Or you do nails or something. You got all
rewiring. Yeah. I do HVAC, anything you need.
Where can people see? I know you still do stand-up sporadically, but go to funnymike.com for more information. But where can people see you live anywhere?
If I'm in town, I'm mostly doing the Comedy Magic Club in Hermosa Beach here
Great
in
club.
LA, outside of LA. And yeah, it's mostly a lot of ships these days. So other
How's
than
that
little
going?
local things, there's some private events, some one-off things. But yeah, it's mostly a lot of cruises these days, and the Alaska season's about to start.
Wow. Are you on one of those huge cruises where it's like they have a water park on a ship?
I haven't done any of those mega ships, those 6,000 passenger ones. Though I wouldn't mind doing it once, only because they have a dedicated comedy club in those where you work with other comics, and usually I'm the only guy on the ship, and most of the time. So it'd be fun to work with other comics.
You know what would also be fun?
What's that?
Just all day, just do cannonballs into the pool or off the water slide. Isn't that the comedian? So what have you seen, Mike? What are you watching? Have you seen any movies, or are you binge watching anything?
Oh, what did we just watch? Well, I wouldn't give it a rave really, but I just watched the all 10 episodes of that Nathan Lane sitcom.
Nathan Lane.
Mid-Century Modern. It's on Hulu.
Oh, okay.
And it's from the guys who did Will and Grace. And of course, Nathan Lane is great in it, but I'm like,
sure.
Does it hold up as a whole? I don't know. We kind of watched it because a friend of my girlfriend's is one of the cameramen on it, and she knows a lot of people behind the scenes. So it was like, you gotta check this out. And you ever watch something that's like after a couple episodes, you may not be digging it, but we got to stick it out. We're going to have dinner with this guy. We should be able to answer questions.
Right. I have done that many times. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good one. What about the movies? Have you seen anything?
I have not. Oh, I watched on the plane the new, well, not new, but the Bob Dylan one.
Oh yeah, Complete Unknown.
Yeah.
I did too. I thought it was great.
Yeah. And a lot of times those rock biographies can be little hit or miss, and also sometimes it could be just total. Oh, this is just a behind the music episode, and
right?
It's kind of like. But this one I liked, and I thought the lead kid, that Timothy Chalamet, was great.
He did a really good job. I like those movies better when they're about a certain time period. It's not like, oh, here's Bob Dylan as a baby. Nobody cares.
Because if you try to cover the whole career, I mean, you're talking 60-year career there. So,
no, I like that a lot too. I recommend to you, Mike, see Sinners if you get a chance. I really like that. I thought
I'm
it was
hearing
great.
good things. I'm hearing good things.
Yeah. Any other famous or great teen comedies you want to throw out there before we let you go? Something you could recommend.
Comedies. Well, again, we're in the same era of you and I, but I can always quote 16 Candles. Really rocked my world when it was there. That
Absolutely.
one I loved, and a lot of it is not, I guess, PC anymore, but
radio friendly. Oh yeah, right, for sure.
Some things just don't age as well, but
we're thinking of a particular character from the Far East who is very funny and wore a red plaid suit and some of the funniest stuff, and you can't say it anymore, and that's fine. But
it's tough. And Michael Hall in that movie is hysterical.
He's
absolutely
great.
Hysterical.
Great movie. Mike, thank you so much, buddy. This is always fun.
Yeah, I had a blast.
Tell your significant other, I won't use her full name, but Piper. She always comes up as a Facebook friend suggestion. And I don't do that with women because I don't want women to get the wrong idea. Because just out of habit, I always ask them out right after I make a friend request. And I don't want to embarrass myself like that. So,
Pete, I'd like you to keep your distance, is what I'm saying.
Okay, we'll do that, buddy. All right, Michael, thanks you so much, buddy. Check out the Travel Tales podcast and go to funnymike.com. All great stuff. Thank you, pal.
Thanks, Pete.
You got it. That's Mike Siegel, folks. On the stream, I got to catch up here. Dave says History of the World Part 1. That's just a great comedy. I don't know if it's a great teen comedy or not, but it's a great comedy. Well done, Dave. Dave also says any Cheech and Chong movie. Corsican Brother. Yeah, great stuff. All right, we're coming right back. I've got an in-studio guest, folks. Award-winning filmmaker Kelly Peterson will be here next after a very short break. Great to have you with me on this Monday night on the Civic Media Radio Network.
I just wanna dance the night away with Senorita Sue. can sway.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home of Mino and the Mayor. Appleton Cigar Company on College Avenue has been serving the community for over 25 years. If you are a cigar aficionado looking for a one-of-a-kind experience, you need to check out Appleton Cigar, which boasts the largest selection of cigars north of Milwaukee with over 706 cigars to choose from in a walk-in humidor. The Cigar Lounge offers an impressive variety of spirits and cocktails that pair perfectly with a premium cigar. For the full experience, come to Appleton Cigar at 415 College Ave, Monday through Saturday, 11:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. For more information, go to appletoncigar.com.
Mark your calendars for heart-pumping, exhilarating action at the 2025 Queen Marinette's Run the River Powerboat Races in Marinette, Wisconsin on June 7th and 8th. The action will be nonstop as these high-octane boats reach speeds of over 105 miles per hour. Races kick off on Saturday and Sunday at 12:30 p.m. and run throughout the day. Free for the whole family, this is the perfect summertime weekend getaway. For more information, head to fishonmarinette.com and click on the events page.
Hey, it's Amanda with another new Wisco 411 for you, brought to you by Area 509 in Appleton. And the Downtown De Pere Foodie Walk is almost here. You can join in for a fun culinary tasting event, which will feature signature food items and select beverage pairings from downtown eateries in De Pere. So on Saturday, May 10th, from 1 till 5 p.m., you could find yourself at the Abbey Bar eating some mac and cheese paired with a featured beer of the month. It's only $25 a ticket. Head to WGBW.FM and click events to get yours.
School sports are played by humans, coached by humans, and officiated by humans. So the next time you're sitting in the stands at a school athletic event, please remember this and maintain your humanity, especially when it comes to judging and critiquing athletes, coaches, and officials. Please show your fellow humans some respect. They'll appreciate your empathy.
This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
I was stuck in a state of panic and endless rituals, so I made the call.
Mental health care works when you make the call. Visit mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
When tears are in your eyes and you can't find the way, it's hard to make believe you're happy when you're brave.
This is Nightlight. I am Pete Schwaba. Great to have you with me on this gorgeous Monday night in the state of Wisconsin, wherever you are listening across our fair state. Fantastic. Great to have you. Be part of the show, folks. Our question of the night is, what is your favorite teen movie? And we've gotten so many, I cannot believe the array of movies we've gotten, like dramas too. I always think comedy, but we've gotten some great drama submissions too. And Joseph knew it was Van Halen when I asked Mike that trivia question about who did Spicoli hire to play his birthday party after saving Brooke Shields from drowning. Joseph also says Jen Jones, early Gen X, the cohort of absent parents. Yes, of course. I was asking where the parents were in Fast Times at Ridgemont High because they were non-existent. And that's why the tomfoolery was able to take place. So keep those texts coming, folks. I will read them on the radio and be part of the show. Thank you to Mike Siegel. And now we turn to my next guest. I'm excited. This is a first-time guest in the studio here. Kelly Peterson, an award-winning filmmaker and Northeastern Wisconsin resident,
Yes.
and a friend of Kristen Lyerly's.
Yes,
She introduced us.
A good friend.
Yeah.
So thanks for that connection. Amazing.
Absolutely. I don't like Kristen personally, but she does really good work. So, no, she's fantastic. And you've been on her show, her new show. So let's give a plug for that.
Yeah, we were the second guest, Lana Nyland and I.
Oh.
We talked about a documentary I'm working on Lana on Ukraine. So it was really neat to chat about that.
Yeah. So let's start with that. You're a filmmaker and you're making this documentary about Ukraine. Tell us about Lana and then tell us about what the story is.
So I guess I could go back a little bit to where before the full invasion happened, I was actually in Russia
That is
with
crazy.
my husband. He's a pilot for a Legion, and so he's ex-military. So we've traveled all over.
Right.
And as ex-media and ex-military, that's one place we've always wanted to go, not knowingly. everything that was happening at the time. But we knew, but not to that level. So we went to Russia. We went to Moscow and St. Petersburg, and you could feel a little bit of the tension. And a lot of people that we met there, they were from Ukraine. A lot of the Uber drivers, the bartenders, the people who worked in the hotels. So I thought, I don't, why is this brotherly war happening for so long? So it was something that when I thought everybody knows everybody, we ended up going to Poland, leaving Russia. And that was when a woman came up to me. She was from Ukraine, and she said, I live in Mariupol, which is a border town, and a lot of the police in my town are they're at the border trying to protect my city. And that's when I really got involved with the Ukrainian war or the Russian war. And I met Lana through a colleague, and she's amazing. She delivers humanitarian aid to the front line, medical supplies, you name it. She's amazing. She was a dancer, and now she's basically turned in her ballet shoes for a bulletproof vest.
Oh my gosh. So, all right. So that's our introduction to Lana. What made you say she's so incredible? I'm going to make a documentary in kind of a dangerous part of the world and dedicate what is typically years of your life.
Her story is so powerful. What she did when the full invasion took place is she was taking animals in. She was risking her life to start this nonprofit called Ukrainian Patriot. And basically it helps get medical supplies to the front lines, not just to the soldiers, but to the people living in these war-torn countries that are bombed by Russia. And that was her mission, and it still is today. She moved to Ukraine. She's a Canadian, but she moved to Ukraine to dance with some of the most elite dancers. And when she was there, watching tanks pull up near her apartment, and it was something that was, she knew at that moment, I'm no longer going to dance. I need to help my country.
That's incredible. And so she's not a native of
No.
Oh, wow.
She's not a native. And
That's almost more impressive that she decided to do that. And it's not even her native country.
And that's what's so amazing about Lana is that we now have an international board. So I sit as a chairwoman representing Ukrainian Patriot for the United States. But we also have people from all over the world that she's brought in to help Ukraine. And it's really, really echoed with her message. And so I'm following her story with everything that she's been helping with in Ukraine.
That's interesting too, because or at least I don't think about, like, you think about war, you see the images on TV, what the people of Ukraine are going through. You don't think about the pets. Or at least I'm not a pet owner, but I'm sure they're as traumatized by this as anybody, right?
At one point, she, I think, brought in 15 dogs into her small apartment in downtown Kyiv. And now she's working on building a sanctuary for animals and veterans out in Ukraine. And the images of those animals, those pets, is heartbreaking. I've had many meetings with her via Google, and I hear the sirens. She's got pets. They hide.
Right.
I think the first time I interviewed her when we were doing this documentary, there was no power.
Really?
There were no lights. It was winter. It was cold.
All right. We're going to talk more about Kelly Peterson's documentary about the Ukraine when we come back. When will it be done? Do you know?
My goal is to have it finished by the end of the year.
Okay. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, cool. So also it is you played that song, Conrad, and I didn't even say it was Frankie Valli's birthday.
I'm playing it again right now.
He's like 104 and he still performs, kind of. And
a little bit.
Cinco de Mayo too. It's fun watching all the people celebrating Cinco de Mayo driving by in flags I even wrote down it was Cinco de Mayo, and I'm like, hey, what's going on out there? I'm like, oh yeah. All right, so we're coming back. Kelly Peterson is here. We're going to talk more about our documentary. I'm going to read more of your texts. What's your favorite teen movie, folks? Great to have you with me on Night Light with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
But you really don't know why.
97.9 WGBW and WGBW.FM. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
ABC News, I'm Stephanie Officer. The eligible Cardinals have gathered in Vatican City to cloister themselves from the world and choose a new leader of the Catholic Church. ABC's James Longman.
It's the daily dance of the Cardinals and the journalists, but the countdown is on. Eminence, hello.
Buonasera.
How was today's meeting? Hello, Eminence. How was today's meeting? Tomorrow, the Cardinals will move into the Santa Marta residence and slowly out of the world's gaze. On Wednesday, they will take their oath of secrecy and conclave will begin.
Rite Aid has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy as it pursues selling most of its assets. Stores do remain open with full pharmacy services. The company is working to smoothly transfer prescriptions and retain employee pay and benefits. CEO Matt Schroeder says Rite Aid is in talks with several potential buyers. On its website Monday, the company listed 1,240 Rite Aid stores across the country. This is ABC News.
The Brewers shut down the Cubs. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Brewers with a 4-0 win over the Cubs on Sunday. The game scoreless through 6 innings. Sal Frelick had to exit the game after twisting his knee at the plate. That opened the door for outfielder Daz Cameron and a 4-run rally as his father, former Brewer Mike Cameron, watched from the stands.
And a line drive into right center, a base hit. Here comes Yelich. It's 2-0 on the first knock as a Brewer for Daz Cameron.
Jeff Levering, FanDuel, Wisconsin. After the game, manager Pat Murphy complimented the Cubs outfielders like Pete Crow Armstrong and newcomer Kyle Tucker.
They're young guys. They're at the peak of their game. The blue-haired kid is kind of a freak right now, the way he's playing. The new kid with the huge feet, that kid, what a hitter. You know what I mean? What a hitter. I just noticed him when he's digging in the box, and I'm like, oh, this is bad. But he's what a hitter.
That's Pat Murphy. The Crew opens a 3-game home series tonight against the Houston Astros with sports on Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. The 2025 Tony nominations are in, and leading the way are the nominees for Best Musical, which are Buena Vista Social Club, Dead Outlaw, Death Becomes Her, Maybe Happy Ending, and Operation Mincemeat, a new musical. In addition to Best Musical, here are other notable nominations. Best Actress in a Leading Role in a Play, Mia Farrow squares off against Succession's Sarah Snook. Broadway musical mainstay Jonathan Groff is up for Best Actor in a Musical, and Nicole Scherzinger is up for the same award in the Actress category. George Clooney drew a nod for his role in Good Night and Good Luck in the Best Actor category for a play that's not a musical. And there is more Hollywood crossover as Bob Odenkirk received a nomination for his role in Glengarry Glen Ross. The 78th Annual Tony Awards takes place June 8th. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Night Light with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Mostly clear tonight, low in the mid-40s, and mostly sunny for tomorrow, high in the low 70s. It'll back down to the low 60s with sunshine for Wednesday. And the dry and warm weather will stick around right through the rest of the work week into the weekend. Currently at 62 degrees.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone or just taking a deep, calming breath to ground yourself. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
How has the first 100 days of Donald Trump affected you personally? I'm so glad for these calls and texts because this is what matters. We can listen to national news, read national news, but it's what we here in Wisconsin are experiencing in our real lives. that mattered to me the most. And I think is the best indication of where our state is at.
Catch the Todd Alba Show at its new time, weekdays 2 to 4 on Civic Media and the Civic Media app. Jay Matnair and Greg Bach.
Coming up on
There's a problem, feathers iron, bargain buildings, weights and pulleys.
Welcome back.
Feathers hit
It's a Monday edition of Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. I am Pete Schwaba. The kid Conrad Krieger riding shotgun. Bridget in the 818 says The Outsiders. Favorite book, favorite teen movie. That is a great choice. You still have time, folks, if you want to share your favorite teen movie with us. And Bridget is not alone. Brian from Green Bay, he's here in the 920. He says, The Outsiders, stay gold. I love it. Let's ask our guest, filmmaker, Kelly Peterson. She's kind of a, I'm going to call you a Renaissance woman. I don't know if you get that a lot.
First time, but I like it.
Okay. I feel extra special now. But do you have a favorite teen movie?
Oh, boy. Well, as a teen, I mean, I guess going into my teenage years, I really liked E.T.
Oh, there you go. Great movie.
Yeah.
I always think of the comedies, but that's a great one. Dead Poets Society. There's so many great movies. All right. So we were talking about your documentary, Ballerina on the Battlefield, about a Canadian ballet dancer who goes to live in the Ukraine and ends up sheltering pets during war.
Yeah.
You said you're hoping that it will be out by the end of this year. What do you still have to do? Are you still shooting? Are you just completely in post-production?
So I've stopped shooting. I mean, I could keep going and going, but
Right.
It's a war. So I've stopped taking any more incoming media. And now I am finalizing and touching the writing, and then I'm going into post.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long do you anticipate you can be done by the end of the year with post? Or
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think so. I'm
Yeah.
a little farther along, but I think I could get there.
Okay. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I write all of the intros for POV and Independent Lens for PBS and introduce the films. And I wish I could do a documentary film. I've strictly always done narrative stuff, but you can't, the emotion and the stories are so real. It's so authentic and genuine. And I'm sure that when people see your film, how is Lana on camera? Is she a good, like, kind of charismatic leading lady, so to speak, for a documentary?
She's genuine. She's
Yeah.
Lana. And I think she represents everything that is happening in Ukraine and how
Okay.
she's doing everything what she can do to help the people there. She's amazing.
How close has she been, or the pets for that matter, to these bombings and battles?
Oh, she's been near death at least
Really?
three or four times. Yes. She's had Russian drones follow her.
No kidding.
Yeah. It's been close on many occasions.
Can she leave?
She can.
She can just go back to Canada if she
She
wants,
can.
but she's choosing to stay
Home
there.
is Ukraine.
And how long has she been there?
Oh boy, since the early 2000s.
No kidding. Okay, so she's got a definite connection.
She does.
How does this compare, your level of passion, with other things you've done?
Oh, well, you mentioned PBS. I worked for
Yeah.
PBS for many years.
Oh, fantastic.
Producing documentaries. And, there's always a different, whenever you're working on your next project, there's always that passion. And I think with this project, it's been I'm very passionate about it because it's a war, and it's a modern war, and we're documenting something we've never seen in our lifetime.
Yeah.
We've got technology. We've got cell phones. We've got things we haven't seen in a modern war that we're using to document. So this film will be a little bit different in the sense that there will be a lot more. There will be a lot more documentation with cell phones and internet and all of everything.
But that makes things easier for you, kind of, right?
It does and it doesn't, because it's hard. I don't have everybody signed on, like for media liabilities and whatnot, waivers. So the ones I don't have, I have to blur out and use. I have to get creative. So it helps, but it doesn't.
Right.
But I also feel like it's the moment that it's actually happening.
That's pretty cool. I have absolute. Now, how much time have you had to spend over there?
So that's an interesting question. I have not been to Ukraine. I've had photographers that I'm working with who have been over there, and we do the interviews together via Zoom, via whatnot.
Wow.
There's a photographer, Daryl McKay. He lives in Canada. He's been my lead photographer, and he's captured all of the footage, most of the footage, and Lana herself when she goes out on. They call them runs when they take humanitarian aid and medical supplies to the front and to the people who need it the most.
So who do you want to see this film the most?
I want educators, history. I want everybody. I feel that this is going to be how Ukrainians live every day. And sometimes I feel we take our life for granted. We have a bad day. The gas pump isn't working.
Right.
Let's put in perspective what I saw this morning. Air sirens, people running, children running to the bomb shelters. Let's put everything into perspective.
Right. That's fascinating. I think too, like in the reason I asked that, I think using the pets is something you don't always think about. You just see how horrible war is through different eyes. Like recently I saw the film Warfare. And man, you want to support the troops? Don't send them to stupid wars, or don't send them to wars they don't need to be at. That is how you support the troops.
Right.
So to see these highly trained Navy SEALs in this film and how they react after this horrible bomb goes off, and many of them are concussed. It's like, why would you ever? But it's the same thing with pets. You don't think about how it affects creatures that can't even really defend themselves.
So quick story.
Yeah.
So the photographer I'm working with, Daryl, he was at a train station in Ukraine, and there was a puppy at a I don't even know. It was near the it was in the bathroom, and he came out and said, "There's a stranded puppy. There's a lot of them." So Lana's little heart, she went in and she got the puppies, and one now she has as one of their mascots for Ukrainian Patriot.
Oh, nice.
So, but the devastation that they go through, they're shaking. They are so scared. I mean, they don't know, just like children don't know. They just want to be normal, and it's tough.
Listen, I'm scared to go into a men's room, war or not. I don't like. I try to avoid them at all costs anyway. So I totally get that. So I don't mean. Sometimes I can't help.
I like the humor.
So all right. So you're going to be done at the end of the year. What? Do you have distribution lined up? Are you still trying to work on that? Are you going to go the festival route?
So I'm looking at a few options. I haven't quite decided, but I'll definitely do distribution in terms of selling. And we'll see what that looks like once I've completed. But I'm quite hopeful.
Yeah. My guest is Kelly Peterson. She is an award-winning documentarian and reporter. You've won 4 Emmys.
I have.
You told me. So probably my last question for the ballerina on the battlefield, how much does your reporting background, how does that help you as a filmmaker?
I think listening is a key aspect of that. I've learned, if there's one thing I've learned in my journalism career, it has been to actually listen to what people are saying.
Okay.
And I think that's helped a lot, and also the connections that I have to help tell this story, and what I've learned from some amazing people I've worked with from the East Coast to the West Coast.
That's great. And I mean, documentary filmmaking really is reporting.
It is.
You know, you're telling a story just like reporters do.
It is. It is.
That's great. All right. So I want to shift gears here because there's another fact about you that I thought was really interesting. Your grandfather, Howard, is it Howard Ackerman?
Harry Ackerman.
Harry Ackerman was kind of a big deal in the TV world. He wasn't a producer. He worked for a studio, correct?
He did.
Okay.
He did. And
tell us about some of the work he does, because this is fascinating.
Oh my goodness. So for those listeners out there, if you were a 60s sitcom fan, you'll appreciate my grandfather, and those who have loved sitcoms. He produced Leave It to Beaver. He brought I Love Lucy from radio to television. He did The Flying Nun. He did, oh my goodness.
Donna Reed Show.
Dennis the Menace, the Donna Reed Show. Gidget. Yep.
Dennis the Menace, Bewitched.
I have all these photos at home too with him, with Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz in their home in Palm Springs.
Wow.
Yeah. he really taught me a lot. I used to sometimes go. At the time he was working on I Love Lucy. It was another episode that they were remaking right before he died, and I remember going in and watching, and yeah, it was amazing.
So you kind of grew up around show business, more or less. It sounds like.
Yeah, I
Did you
did.
grow up in Southern California?
Northern California.
Okay.
Born in Santa Monica, and then moved to Northern California for my mom and dad's work.
Okay.
But we had a lot of family in show business. My grandmother's Eleanor Donahue, who was the oldest daughter and Father Knows Best.
That's so great.
She's still alive in Palm Springs, doing very well.
Nothing makes me more excited than meeting people with connections like that, or just an obscure, although you've been around it, you seem to know a lot of people in show business, but that begs my next question. How did you end up in Northeast Wisconsin?
Well, that is interesting. So my husband, as I mentioned earlier, he was Air Force, ex-military, and
and I said I'd love to be ex-military, but you have to be military before you could be. If I walked around, is that like stolen valor? If I just started saying, "Well, I'm ex-military,"
maybe.
I would never disrespect our armed forces by doing something like that. We have a text for Kelly Conrad. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Conrad's on it, man. On our text
Wow.
line, this is I can't see anything because the lights went off in our oh, Tom says, how cool some of the shows I loved as a child. That's great. So, all right, you were telling us, thank you for the text, Tom.
Yeah, thank you.
So how did you end up here? Your husband?
My husband, well, sort of. So we ended up, he retired in 2016, and we moved from North Dakota because that's where we were relocated.
Okay.
And then there was an executive producer opening at WFRV here in
No kidding.
Green Bay. So I sent my resume in, and I'll never forget Kevin Osgood, the news director at the time. He emailed me within 5 minutes, and he said, "Did you really mean to send this here?" And he was like kidding, like he was joking.
Right.
He's like, "You're so overqualified." I said, "No, I want to," because my husband's from Wisconsin, so
Yeah.
this was home.
Okay. So how long have you been here now?
Oh, I think it's going on 7 years.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's not that long, really.
I know.
But it's home.
Yeah, it's home now. Yeah, I work at NWTC. Absolutely love it. I teach college courses here, and yeah, love it.
What kind of college courses do you teach?
Oral communication courses, public speaking,
Okay.
and English.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Is that all you're doing now? Are you retired from the TV world?
Well, I guess for now.
Okay.
I'm going to be retired until I finish my documentary. And,
Okay.
and honestly, I don't know if I want to get into the 24/7 news business again. That's a lot.
It's a lot, but in Green Bay here, it seems like we've had people from local outlets on, and I know they're reporting hard news too, but it seems like they're just sort of in the community, and it seems like a lot of the stuff they get to report on is kind of cool stuff.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
But as the news director, it's 24/7.
Yeah.
But it's super cool. And there's so many talented people in this market.
Should we talk about some of your awards when we come back?
Sure.
You might as well toot your own horn while you're here. Right?
Oh,
I mean,
well, I'll let you do that.
Get people to take your classes or whatever. But we'll do that, and we'll have more in just a few minutes. Kelly Peterson is sticking around. She's in the studio, going to help me close it down. I'll get back to your texts, and we'll wrap this up nice. This is Pete Schwaba and Nite Lite on the Civic Media Radio Network.
It will soon be your tomorrow. I don't ask for much, I only want trust, and you know it don't come easy. And this love of mine keeps growing over time, and you know it just ain't easy. Open up your heart, let's come together.
As Wisconsin as a fish fry on a Friday night, this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Feeling better is about feeling all kinds of things. You want to feel healthy, sure, but you also want to feel heard and understood, valued, even, well, loved. That's what we want too. We're Amplify Health, and we think the best way to care for someone is to care about them. That's why all our treatments include a little empathy. Welcome to healthcare that's all about caring. Welcome to Amplify Health by Bellin. A little empathy changes everything.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. There's been a whole lot happening in the political universe these last few months. Much of it has been rather discombobulating, you might say. From the first 100 days of the Trump administration to the high-stakes race for Wisconsin's Supreme Court and everything else that went into the spring election in Wisconsin, it's been a lot to wrap our heads around. But now we're entering a new phase on Wisconsin's political calendar. That's right, we're getting into budget season. The biennial budget is the biggest thing that happens in state politics every 2 years, and our elected officials in the Assembly and Senate are going to be making some important decisions in the very near future. Now is a great time to contact your representatives and let them know what you think our priorities should be for our next state budget. Because in a government by the people, participation is power, and your voice matters.
Find all of Dan's work at the Recombobulation area and on our website at civicmedia.us.
Hay and Meatpacking reminds you, in times of war and peace, the men and women of our military dedicate themselves to serving our country. Their commitment, patriotism, sacrifice, and courage keep our country safe and strong. We appreciate the bravery of our U.S. soldiers. Let us honor those who've lost their lives in the line of duty and salute those serving today. From Hay and Meatpacking in Kaukauna since 1959. Visit hayandmeats.com. God bless America.
Matt and Air on Air.
A farmer from southwestern Missouri, Will Westmoreland.
You're going to be really hard-pressed to find a farmer that says the tariffs are a good idea. The president's most ardent supporters in agriculture, the closest they'll come is saying, well, even though these tariffs are really bad, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that in the long run, this is going to pay off. But Jane, that's a very, very small number of farmers that still believe that.
Catch Matt and Air on Air at its new time, weekday mornings 9 to 11 on Civic Media and the Civic Media app.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the ACT.
Welcome back tonight, folks. I am Pete Schwaba. Great to have you with me on this Monday night. I always say I can't believe I'm so happy it's Monday because, I don't know what to do with myself on the weekends. But we are finally back broadcasting here statewide from beautiful downtown Green Bay. Tomorrow night on the show, we are going to talk about the Wisconsin film incentives, it's coming up before, I believe, the Senate, but we'll have a guest on tomorrow night at 7:05. University of Wisconsin Stout professor will be here to discuss how important these incentives are, talk about the chances they have to pass. That's at 7:05 tomorrow night. Cliff Wall, who is part of the Parks, what is Cliff's title? Because Cliff has been here in different capacities. He's also on the Parks board for, I just sound like an idiot. I just have to pull this up. And then we're going to talk about, at 6:35, we're going to talk about a comedy contest in Oshkosh. The search to find Oshkosh's funniest person. Conrad is throwing his hat into the ring. He will be doing stand-up comedy. You didn't know that, but I volunteered you.
Oh, thank you.
Cliff is... he is part of the Friends of Wisconsin State Parks, and he's going to talk about the importance of state parks and what is going on locally here. Cliff was here. Are you guys Packer fans?
Yes.
Kelly, I'm talking to Chris. He didn't want to be on the show, but I'm kind of including him now. Kelly's husband, Chris, is here. He's the former military.
Yes.
And who is also a pilot. So, Chris, you're being a very good husband, bringing your wife to this nonsense tonight. So thank you for that. But you guys are Packer fans. So we had Cliff was on a few weeks ago, and he brought Sam Vanesi with him, who is trying to get his brother into the Packer, or he's already in the Packer Hall of Fame. He's trying to get him into the NFL Hall of Fame because basically he hired Vince Lombardi, played a very pivotal role in some great Packers teams. So Cliff is a great guy. Cool. He'll be here tomorrow night. So
that's super cool.
Yeah. How did you become a Packer fan? You've only been here 7 years.
Well, This guy. I was a Niners fan because I was in Sacramento and I lived in San Francisco for quite a while. But he's kind of turned me into a Packers fan.
They're kind of one of the most hated rivals too, I think, of the Packers.
Yeah,
because there's
it's
some rough games in the past.
rough.
Yeah, but you like the Bears better than the Niners? Well, there's that rivalry. You can't beat the Bears, and I've taken a lot of abuse sometimes on this show from him for my my Bears fandom because Conrad is a big time Packer fan too. But all right, so we got Conrad. Don't let me forget text because I want to ask Kelly here about Ukrainian Patriot. You're on the board, and this is Lana's your documentary. For those of you just joining us, Kelly's documentary is Ballerina on the Battlefield. And it will be out hopefully by the end of the year, where she follows a woman who shelters pets in the war.
Shelters pets, supplies humanitarian aid, medical supplies to the front line. I mean, she literally gets in a truck with the team and risks her life to get those supplies to where they need to be in the right hands.
That's incredible. So Ukrainian Patriot is her sort of organization?
Founded, yes,
okay.
Yes. So she founded Ukrainian Patriot. And as I got to know Lana and started documenting her, we became really fairly close. And she had asked me, if I would be interested in becoming the chairwoman to represent the United States of America.
Wow.
So that's what I do. I sit on the Ukrainian Patriot, and I'm the chairwoman that represents the U.S., helping to get medical supplies, humanitarian aid, everything but military supplies to the front lines.
That's so cool. And I'm impressed that you're able to do all this from Northeast Wisconsin. That's how times have changed, right? I mean, the fact that you can do this and make a documentary and not be over in a war-torn country is really advantageous.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
We were actually up at the Door County Candle Company, and she has a trench candle that we brought up there, and it's still displayed up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
has Lana been here?
She has.
Okay.
She's been here twice.
Okay.
And we've done tours and introductions and all that good stuff.
That's so great. Well, you'll have to keep us posted on the documentary as it gets closer. We'll have to have you back on. You can tell us how we can see it, or film festival screenings, or
I'd love it.
But don't go anywhere. I want to ask you one more question about your grandpa, what he did. I'm going to ask you
Grandpa's cool.
Your favorite show. So we'll do that after we finish these texts. Jack from Merrimack says, best teen movie, American Graffiti, hands down. Every other one is fluff by comparison, in my opinion. That's Jack from Merrimack. Thank you, Jack. Tom from New Berlin says, my dad is a TV repairman. He's got the ultimate set of tools. I read that one. I should have read the other one first. He says, when Spicoli has a pizza delivered to the classroom, he's just telling us his favorite moments of Fast Times. That's fantastic. Thank you, Tom. Steve from Florida. Did I read your dad's text?
Not yet.
I did not. I cannot let family go by the wayside here. Steve, Conrad's dad from Florida, says, I can't really pick just one, like Lay's potato chips, because they're all so good. Hoosiers, Rudy, Caddyshack, yes. Back to the Future, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Better Off Dead, Grease, the original Willy Wonka, and The Chocolate Factory. All epic classics. Could not agree more, Steve. That's awesome. And Dolores, I don't know if I read Dolores' text. She's in the 608. She says, one of my favorite movies is Karate Kid. Another great teen, not a comedy, but a drama. These are all fantastic, folks. Thank you so much for your text and being part of Nightlight. And thank you to Mike Siegel for being on the show, Kelly Peterson for being here in the studio. Do you have a favorite show that your grandpa worked on?
Well, I really loved Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites. He did Bewitched too.
Bewitched was huge too.
Huge.
That was
He did Bewitched, and he has a funny story about, he told us when he was in studio with Elizabeth Montgomery. And yeah, I mean, they're
we
all
have about
so
20
good.
seconds.
I
so
know.
Let's save that for next time.
We'll save
You'll
it for
come
next
back.
time.
You'll talk about your documentary being that much closer, and we'll get into
Would love it.
some more of that stuff. Thank you so much for being here, Kelly.
Thank
This was
you so
fun.
much
And thank
for having
you
me.
for riding shotgun, Chris, staying off camera. I don't tease former military because I don't need to get in a headlock on my own show. Thank you also to the lovable producer, Conrad. We are coming back tomorrow night. We're going to do this all over again. Good night, Wisconsin.
Take me to your best friend's house, marmalade, we're making out, oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love Gillette.